Hello, and welcome to another episode of Two Chicks, One Show, where we recap and review usually one currently airing show an episode a week as it airs. But for the past few months now, we have actually been going back in time, hitting up the 90s. We've moved into the 2000s now, which is quite modern of us. And we are recapping each season of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I have seen every episode many, many times. Kate has never seen it before. So without further ado, I am Trisha Ennis. She is Kate Calabro. We are your two chicks, and this week's show is Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Season 5. What did you think?
I really like Season 5.
I love Season 5.
I still think that Season 2 is my favorite, but in my hierarchy, it goes Season 2, Season 5, Season 3.
All right, I think for me, it's 3 and 5 are like really close together.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. 3 might nudge it out a little bit because I think 3 is a stronger season overall. But I really, really like Season 5. And I think a lot of that comes from I really like the villain, which is the same thing in Season 3. I really like the villain. And there's just some really good, like there's more Anya in this season, which is really nice. I really like Tara. She's my favorite character probably. So I like having her in the season. There's some good Willow stuff. So I really like Season 5. So you liked it? What did you like about it?
Let's see. I liked that there was a lot more Anya, and Anya finally gets a opening title card.
Yeah.
So she finally gets the respect that she deserves. I like that this season there's actually like a real villain. I mean, there was a villain in Season 4, but it was just lame because I really just didn't like the initiative or anything that had to do with them, and Adam was like just stupid.
Most people would agree with you on that.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed Glory slash Ben. I don't know.
No, it's just Glory. No one likes Ben as the villain. I like Ben a little.
Yeah. I completely forgot that this is the first time we're meeting Dawn. Like I just like always just like, oh, Dawn's always just been there.
Which I guess it speaks to how well they wrote the character in the season.
I think my favorite part about Season 5 is that Riley Riley doesn't die. Riley leaves. Riley leaves. I literally kind of completely, like, you asked me a question the other day about the Riley episode, which is my least favorite episode, but we'll talk about that later. And I'm like, oh my god, I completely forgot that happened. Like, I completely kind of forgot that he existed.
And I think that's part of the reason why they wrote him off, because you could tell this whole season that, like, once the initiative was gone, they had no idea what to do with Riley.
And, like, Riley had no idea what to do with Riley.
Which was...
And then it was just, like, annoying because I didn't care what he did with himself. Like, I was just like, whatever.
Yeah, and then you get frustrated with him because he becomes, like, a vampire heroin addict. And
he just becomes, like, a massive asshole. I just think, like, he's like, I don't know what to do with it. Like, he thinks because he doesn't have direction, like, he starts trying to, like, do Buffy's job. Like, she's the fucking Slayer, bro. You're not going to do better than the freaking Vampire Slayer.
Right. Basically, the first half of the season was, like, Riley get a life.
Yeah.
And then he did.
Yeah. And then he left.
Yeah. It works for everybody. I wish Buffy was less hung up.
Yeah. Like, because, I mean, he knew it back in, I think, Season 4. Like, we all knew, like, Buffy didn't really love Riley. Yeah. He was convenient.
Yeah, we'll get to more of this when we talk about least favorite episodes, because I think we both agree that that's the weakest.
Yeah.
But...
And then it also, Season 5 there's, like, a clear divide, and as much as, like, you kind of forget that Riley exists, it kind of completely shifts once he leaves. And it becomes a different story. Because the beginning of Season 5, we're kind of like, what the fuck's up with this girl that's now Buffy's sister? So we deal with that. And then once Riley leaves, we kind of get really into the Glory storyline.
So
the purpose of Dawn.
Sorry. So the two big things of the season are Glory and Dawn. Mm-hmm. So we should talk about those for a little bit. Firstly, you'll notice if you dive into the Buffy the Vampire Slayer fandom that most people really hate Dawn.
Yeah, she's annoying as shit.
Like the constant thing is shut up, Dawn.
Yeah.
And while I don't disagree that she's annoying, I like her.
This is my issue with Dawn. And I think it is just a lack of them developing her as a character. No offense to everyone on the creative
she
side.
has more in later seasons.
So. Yeah. But it's like, why don't you teach the girl some fucking moves so she doesn't, as soon as anything out of the ordinary happens, just scream? Because the scream, like, Dawn wants to know things, and like we're all treating this girl who you all act like a child, but clearly doesn't look like a child, like she's a teenager, like she's 5.
Yeah.
Oh, we gotta protect Dawn. She can't see this. She can't read about witches. She can't like, shut up. When you were 16, you were slaying vampires. She's 14 when we meet her. When we meet Dawn. It's just it's not Dawn's annoying, but it's not all Dawn's fault.
Right. And I agree with all of that. I totally understood it from Joyce's perspective that like she can't protect Buffy, but she can protect Dawn. No. So like that's sort of going to be her thing where she's like, I have no control over what happens in Buffy's life because she's the Slayer and blah blah blah, and also now an adult. But with Dawn, like I have control over that. I can control this is the hill that I'm going to die on. No pun intended. And yeah, so I understand it from her perspective, but like everybody else, and I really think that everybody else mostly just boils down to Buffy, and everybody else just follows along. Because like Willow is pretty okay with letting Dawn know things, and you know, Giles makes a comment the one time he babysits like that a 14-year-old is too old to be babysat. Granted, he was griping about the fact that he had to listen to boy bands.
Yeah. Well, see, I think in the beginning, before like Dawn's in real danger here, Dawn does need someone to watch her later on in the season. But like in the beginning, like she's 14 years old, and like Joyce is like, I have a late night at the gallery, and Buffy's out patrolling, so someone needs to watch Dawn. Like, no, they don't. And
which Dawn says.
Yeah, like I can get Joyce's perspective, but I don't really understand why everyone else treats her literally like she's 5 years old. Like Tara does it all the time. Because like Dawn will ask Tara if she can do certain things, and Tara's like, no, you're too young.
Yeah, but I think that's just sort of, they're all following the Summers lead.
I guess it's just
because they all treat her that way. Like,
yeah,
it's everybody treating her that way.
But I just don't think we should all hate Dawn. Just like it's everyone else's fault.
Right. It's not her fault she's annoying.
Yeah.
At least not entirely her fault she's annoying.
No, they made her that way.
Yeah. The beginning of season 6, she's also annoying in ways that actually get to me, but then she gets better. So the other big thing was Glory. I love Glory.
Yeah, I like Glory. Well, so Dawn is sent to Buffy. She wasn't just like some storyline that we all kind of forgot that Buffy had a sister. Dawn was sent by some monks.
Yes, some monks.
To Buffy because she is now the human embodiment of the key.
Which is just some green energy.
Yeah. And they knew that Buffy would protect her.
One of the things I liked is that I know when you were watching it, and this is the same thing with everybody who watched it for the first time, I knew that she was about to get a sister. I had like seen other episodes, but I was so confused by it. But when you watched that at the end of the first episode, and possibly the beginning of the second episode, I don't know what you were watching at the time, but you messaged me and was like, wait, so she just has a sister now?
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to talk about it?
So like I knew it was going to happen because I'm not oblivious to
I'm not sure exactly what you know.
Yeah. Mainly because she's on the poster. Like if you watch Netflix, if you watch Buffy on Netflix, it's like Buffy and then Spike and Dawn. So I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, I'm starting off and they're not very important people, and Dawn doesn't come into, but like they're eventually gonna become important. And like I remember like at the time when this was airing, because the girl that plays Dawn played Nancy Drew. So like
You
you
played Harriet the Spy.
Harriet the Spy, sorry. Crap. I'm
Very
sorry. You're a
different.
big Yeah, you're a big Nancy Drew fan.
And a Harriet the
Sorry.
Spy fan.
So she played Harriet the Spy. So like I knew who the actress was, and I knew that she was on Buffy as Buffy's sister, but like that was it. Um, and like I know they were like in season 4 during like the flashbacks with Faith, there was like mentions of a little sister and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
going into season 5, I knew it was gonna happen, but I thought like it would be explained kind of right away, and it wasn't. It
Which
was
I like.
yeah. But shockingly, Buffy puts the pieces together and she figures out that like Dawn really isn't her sister. And then
Dawn
she,
doesn't exist.
yeah. So, and she's there because of Glory, and Glory comes to Sunnydale because of Dawn.
Yep, pretty much. It's just a whole thing. Yeah, I do like it's when you think about it in like bare terms, like some monks took some energy and made a person, and that person is now Buffy's sister, and everybody just remembers her as always being there. It's
Yeah.
completely ridiculous.
It's also like very like these monks really invaded everyone's lives because they didn't just manipulate Buffy and her mom, but like they had to create memories with the whole Scooby gang for them to
Anyone
remember
that could
her.
possibly have come into contact with Dawn her whole life. Like
Yeah. She had what?
she had friends.
Yeah. And like she knew everything about Buffy and like about the dad, and like they put like it's a I mean, props to the monks, but also huge invasion of privacy.
Yeah. Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
But an invasion of privacy for apocalyptic reasons.
Sure. Yeah.
So I think that's like the one time that we let we let the invasion happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I really like it sounds absolutely ridiculous. It sounds like you're running out of ideas and grasping at straws and sort of
Yeah.
things. But it actually ended up working really interestingly. Like I like what having a sister does for Buffy. I like
I
the way it
think
changes up the family and the Scooby Gang and
yeah. I think why it works so well is because it is linked to such a really great villain.
yeah,
I think if it was anyone other than the character of Glory, I think it would be like this is a bit like a cheap ploy.
yeah. If
But
it was linked to like the initiative,
yeah, but because with the introduction of Dawn, we get the introduction of Glory, who is this crazy god who just wants to go home and create hell in like her homeland and will do anything to happen like make it happen, um but is also tormented by the fact that she morphs into a human being every once in a while, and that's like her eternal curse.
yeah. Her eternal curse is essentially that she's trapped inside the body of Ben,
Yeah.
who is a doctor. He is a doctor. They don't really treat him that way, but he is.
No, he's an intern.
Yeah, but an intern is the first year of your residency. You are a doctor.
Okay, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, he looks like he's the same age as Buffy and her friends. He goes to a college party, which you pointed out. Like, why is Dr. Ben at a college party?
Right, exactly. He would be at least 26.
Yeah, and like he just gets fired from his job. Like, no big deal. Like, it was,
Well, he wasn't there for 2 weeks.
yeah, um, yeah. So Glory is trapped inside Ben, and they do like this morphing thing all the time. But Glory has come to Sunnydale because she believes that the key is in Sunnydale, and she has these like troll-like minions
I love them.
that like try to
They're
go
like,
find.
what did you say? It was hobbits with leprosy.
Yeah, so they're trying to help assist her in finding the key. But because Glory isn't full god, she also is kind of manic, so she needs to suck people's brain power. which makes them end up going crazy so she can like be rejuvenated.
So she makes people crazy.
Yeah.
By sucking out whatever essence it is in their brains that makes them cohesive. And so she eats people's brains essentially in order to remain cohesive herself. So a lot of crazy people are turning up in Sunnydale, and those people can see through like lies and reality, so they can know that Dawn is the key. What I think is funny is that Glory has no idea that she had a way to find the key the whole time.
Yeah, she's oblivious. I mean, Glory is a great villain because she's somewhat like the mayor, where they're enjoyable to watch. They're charismatic villains, so you don't mind their screen time. Where unlike Adam, who like there was nothing entertaining whatsoever about him.
Yeah, he was a weird knockoff.
Yeah. So I don't like. You also get the idea that like Glory also doesn't really know what she's doing, which is probably why she didn't realize that the people that she sucks their essence out of could also lead her to the key, like the whole entire season. But it's fun, and it's fun to see like her. I think the last 2 episodes, or it might have been just like the finale, where she's literally, because Ben's been trapped inside of her, or she's been trapped inside of Ben. I don't know how it really works.
She's trapped in Ben.
For so long, she starts to get human emotion, and like she doesn't know what to do with herself. Like she doesn't want to have to kill Dawn, and she's like very confused by it, and it's entertaining. Very conflicted. Yeah, and it's entertaining to watch her be like, I don't want to kill you, but I have to kill you kind of situation. Yeah, she's like a 90s, well, now it's 2000, but like late 90s, early 2000s, like teenage comedy villain.
And she literally was a teenage comedy villain in Bring It On.
It's been a very long time.
She played this super bitchy cheerleader.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. So I really like Glory. She also has a lot of really great lines. My favorite is probably Slayer's a robot. But yeah, no, I really like Glory. She's great. She's a great villain. She's probably my second favorite. I really like the mayor a lot.
Yeah.
Because he's also charismatic, and they're both really full of themselves. Like they're very arrogant. But
I feel like a good villain has to be. Like, I feel like when they need to know what's up.
They need to have confidence.
Yeah.
A villain that lacks confidence is no fun, unless they're very funny, which we will get to next season. They're also horrible. But anyway, so those are the two big new things this season. But of course, the other big thing that happened this season was the death of Joyce.
Yeah.
The Body is one of my favorite and least favorite episodes of the show. Favorite because it's amazing. Least favorite because it makes me uncomfortable.
I think that was the point. Yeah.
Amazing.
I think in The Body, I think the final scene where they have like they can't even just have a moment in a hospital morgue without like a vampire popping up, which is ironic, but it was also like an extremely uncomfortable thing because this was another annoying Dawn moment, and this was just Dawn being annoying. So Joyce gets a brain tumor this season, and they believe first this starts Buffy's searching on the shadow, which leads her to realize what Dawn is. But it turns out it has nothing to do with Dawn, and she just has a brain tumor. And she goes through surgery, and they lead you to believe that she's perfectly fine. And then Buffy comes home one day and finds Joyce's body, and she is no longer with us. And then the episode The Body comes, and it's kind of showing you all the reactions of all the characters. Reaction to Joyce's death, and there's a lot of just like silent moments. But in the final, And like the chain of act, like I don't, not that I deal with death a lot, but I don't ever remember like going to the hospital morgue. Like that was nothing that like, and like the fact that the EMTs just leave Buffy in her house with a dead body and they're like, oh, someone will come and pick her up
That was
soon.
the thing that I don't think is realistic about the episode
Yeah,
because I don't think paramedics can pronounce someone dead.
no. And like especially like I thought it was an extremely insensitive way. Like the daughter's standing right there, she's clearly upset, and the guy just turns and goes like, "Man, she's dead." Like that's like what the one paramedic says to the other one, and I'm like, this just doesn't seem right. And then they just like they get a call and they're like, "Okay, well we're calling this in, and someone will be here soon to pick up her body. Don't touch it." And then Buffy goes and like vomits. Um, and then they go to the hospital and they go to the hospital morgue and they perform the autopsy like really fast. Usually autopsies aren't done the same day.
And
It's a little
usually
bit,
for that kind of thing, when there's no foul play, I'm pretty sure they have to be at the request of the family.
yeah. Um, and Dawn, being Dawn, doesn't believe Buffy that her mom's dead, and she is insistent on seeing a body. And she goes into the morgue, which for some odd reason has to be completely dark because God forbid someone turns a light on.
Wouldn't be a morgue.
Yeah, and she's going to. She knows there's like other bodies lined up, but she knows which one her mother's is. Walks towards there, and as she's going to lift up the sheet, a vampire, one of the dead bodies becomes a vampire, and then Buffy has to come in and fight a vampire with her mother, her dead mother laying there, and it was just.
Yeah, one of the things I really like about the episode, besides a lot of the structural things that they did,
Mm-hmm.
is kind of that fighting a vampire in the morgue, because it's, to Buffy, normalcy is fighting vampires.
Yeah.
And this thing that happened to her mom is not normal. But for any one of us, the
Mm-hmm.
dying of an aneurysm is normal, and the fighting a vampire in the morgue is the weird part.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that juxtaposition. I also really like that fighting vampires in this season is largely used to be the mundane, like the mundacity of Buffy's job, because she's fighting a god
Yeah.
the whole season. So like it shows up, a vampire shows up in this episode to be the mundane thing that's happening on the worst day of her life.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the very beginning of the finale, she fights a vampire at the beginning to like bring everything back to its roots,
Mm-hmm.
before she goes and fights a ridiculous villain.
Yeah.
So I did like the way that they use vampire slaying for the most part in the season, except for the Dracula one. But I really like the body, and one of the reasons why I really like it, and one of the reasons why I like most of the stuff in the show, is less because of Buffy and more because of the other things. Like I did like all the stuff with Buffy in this episode, and I like the things that happened to her because of Joyce's death.
Mm-hmm.
But my favorite scene of this entire episode is the one with the Scoobies dealing with everything.
Yeah.
Because I think it has the most amount of stuff happening in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it has a wide variety of reactions to death. So you have Willow constantly changing her clothes, Xander not really knowing what to do and punching a wall so he can feel something, Anya being really confused, and
Mm-hmm.
Tara is the only one who has experienced the death of a parent, just being like, I'm here, I know what's happening, I didn't know her as well as you guys, so I'm just going to be around.
Yeah.
So I really like it. It's also one of the best Anya scenes.
Yeah. Because I mean, I don't, and I know I'm very biased because like Anya is one of my favorite characters, but like I think sometimes they forget that Anya doesn't understand any of this, and like you can. So Anya's very confused on what the process happens after someone dies. Like she doesn't understand, and she keeps asking questions, and like they start getting annoyed with her. Eventually, they
Especially
don't.
Willow, who's always annoyed with her.
Yeah, there's a whole episode, which wasn't a great episode, but a whole episode dedicated. I'm sorry, dedicated to Anya and Willow not getting along. But it's a great. Ooh, Sorry, I'm like kind of choking.
As Kate dies on the air.
A great episode showing, like, I think everyone had those questions until you finally understand what death is. So Anya kind of trying to understand, like, why, like, she was here yesterday, why isn't she here today, and like what happens now, like why do we see the body, what do we do, like I think
the
are
one
all
that tips
valid
me over
questions.
the edge is, are they going to cut the body open?
Yeah, but she doesn't know. No one's explained it. Like there's things that Anya just doesn't know and needs someone to explain to her because she was immortal for hundreds of years before this.
Yeah, and you do get to, there's a few times throughout this season where they specifically put Anya in a position to be worried about dying.
Yeah.
So you get that early in the season in The Replacement, where she's dislocated her shoulder by being attacked by Harmony, and she's afraid that, like, she's suddenly realizing that she is mortal. She's been mortal for a year, but she's suddenly realizing, oh crap, I'm gonna die at some point.
Yeah,
because get on with things, which I really liked about the way they dealt with Anya. Other things about the body that are interesting. It's done, as you said, there are a lot of quiet moments. There is absolutely no soundtrack. All the sound is diegetic sound, which is stuff that you can see in the frame or that can be implied by the location, which is really unnerving. It's way more unnerving than you realize it is. It's just, it's odd. It's eerie and bleh. And one of the things that really puts you off, and it's all done in 4 or 5 scenes. Every act is its own scene, which is really cool and allows everything to like sit and breathe, and also means they had to probably script it really specifically, not quite as specifically as something like a musical episode, which we'll get to next season, but in really interesting ways. It's also the first time that Willow and Tara are allowed to kiss on screen.
Yeah, I didn't realize.
It is. It's the only time they kiss during season 5. And one of the reasons for that is because they put it in this episode and the WB requested they take it out before the episode aired, and Joss Whedon said no. Because he felt that it was completely normal for Tara to calm Willow down when she's freaking out by kissing her. Because that's what anyone would do in a relationship with another person. Shut up about your gayness. So that's really interesting, I thought. And when they switch networks next season, they get to kiss a lot more. Which is lovely for those of us who like representation. Yeah, so that's some cool stuff about the body. So other than the body, did you want to talk about anything specific to the season before we move on to favorite episodes? Oh, you know what we should talk about is the finale. And the fact that when they entered this season, they thought it was the end.
Yeah.
So I love this finale. I'm not a huge fan of the episode before the finale.
Was that like when they were on the run?
No, it's the one in between.
Oh, the one where she was like in Willow has to go into her mind.
Yeah, where Buffy is catatonic and Willow has to go into her brain. Okay. I don't love that one, mostly because it mostly takes place inside Willow's mind. Not Willow's mind, Buffy's mind. But I really like the finale, like just the whole arc of the finale, because it would have been a great series finale.
Yeah.
And they managed to make it a good season finale by whatever they do in season 6. Although I still maintain that Buffy should have just stayed dead.
Yeah. I think Buffy would also agree.
We'll again talk about that when we get to season 6, which Kate has already started, but we will not discuss. But yeah, I think I really like the finale. I like the idea that everything again comes full circle and Buffy figures out that, you know, she can make this sacrifice. She can die and save the world one last time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really like it.
I mean, there's just so many great things about the finale. I mean, there's the Glory realizing that she has human emotion. There's Ben realizing that it's either him or Dawn in a way. There's the whole gang realizing that probably not everyone's going to survive, but no one knows. There's a great Anya moment where she's freaking out because she realizes, like, usually when the apocalypse happens, I run away, but I don't want to because she loves Xander and she's worried about the gang and she has guilt. And then Xander proposes to her and she gets mad. And then there's them trying to fight off these crazy people that built the tower for glory. There's just so many great elements to the finale.
There are a lot of really great elements to the finale. There's a lot of like everything that we've been building to at this point is really, for every character, comes to fruition. Like you see sort of that fraying relationship between Giles and Buffy become the Buffy will make her decision and Giles is going to make his. There's that philosophical question: would you kill someone to save the world?
Yeah.
For Buffy, the answer is no. For Giles, the answer is yeah.
This isn't the first time Giles has killed someone. Didn't he kill someone before? In a very similar circumstance? Like another apocalypse? I feel like he
thinks so, but he's definitely threatened it.
I felt like this isn't, maybe it was a threat, but it was kind of like Buffy let someone survive and Giles didn't think they should survive, and then he ends up killing them.
I mean, the only one that strikes my mind is Ben. I mean,
which is what happens, but I'm pretty
Dawn.
No, but no, like in an earlier season.
No, I know what you mean. I can't think of one. Faith?
Maybe?
Because Buffy was kind of willing to kill Faith to save Angel.
Maybe it was Angel.
Angel to stop Acathla, but Buffy did kill Angel to stop Acathla.
Yeah, but I think like maybe Giles threatened Angel when he was jealous.
He definitely did a lot of that. Like, he threatened Angel a ton after he killed Jenny.
I don't know. I thought it wasn't the first time we saw Giles kill someone.
When Giles goes all Ripper? Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that there's that darkness to Giles. I like that we're starting to see the darkness in Willow.
Yeah, there's a lot of darkness in Willow.
You see a lot more of that next season.
Yeah,
this is the season where Willow is sort of starting to compound her powers like a lot, and she's going too far, and the only person willing to tell her she's going too far is Tara, but doesn't put her foot down just yet about it. So she's like, it's starting to freak me out that you're getting really powerful, but it's okay right now.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you see, this is also the season of, like, what would you do if the person you love was threatened? Because when Glory sucks Tara's brain, Willow goes full-on rage witch and shows up and, like, kicks the crap out of Glory for about 5 minutes until Glory kicks the crap out of her. Yeah. It's also the first time you see her eyes go black.
Yeah.
Which now happens, if you notice, every time she uses her abilities. So that'll come into play more later. But yeah, so Willow's starting to get freaky, but at the same time, that culminates in the finale with Willow being the only one who can hurt Glory, at least initially, and then being able to mind suck Glory to give it back to Tara, which is just scary. Amounts of power, but great, good for Tara and good for them. You also see a lot of culmination with Xander. We already talked about how Anya's whole thing about struggling with her mortality in the beginning and then recognizing that she still wants to help people even though she could die. In the last episode, and this season starts with Xander figuring out his life and ends with him first being made fun of for being a glorified bricklayer and then using what he knows from working on construction sites to hit Glory with a wrecking ball.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. So there's a lot of that, like, that process. You also see Dawn go from, kid who doesn't know anything to freaking out over her existence and identity to recognizing and understanding what she's there for and being willing to sacrifice herself to save the world. So lots of really good character development this season, I think.
Yeah, and we haven't even talked about Spike yet.
We haven't talked about Spike yet, and I know you want to.
Yeah.
Spike gets a creepy crush on Buffy this season.
Yeah, I mean, so I very much enjoy Spike as just a
Everyone does.
character.
Spike is
Yeah.
great.
Spike is by far one of the best characters. He, as well as Anya, just knows how to steal a scene. He has great dialogue. I absolutely adore his obsession with Passions because as a child I watched Passions during the summer, so I understand.
Like
Didn't watch
everyone
Buffy.
did.
I didn't watch Buffy, but I watched Passions. Um, and he's just funny and enjoyable, and he's trying so fucking hard to be a good guy or his version of a good guy.
Right.
And
He's
like,
really struggling
yeah,
against his own nature to be a good guy. He's
yeah,
being really good for someone without a soul.
yeah. And I mean, I think people make like there's were several valid points in this season regarding his trying to be a good guy versus how Angel was a good guy. And the only reason Angel was a good guy is because he was cursed to have a soul, whereas Spike doesn't have a soul and is really trying.
Right. It's
And
infinitely harder for Spike to be a good guy.
and then everyone's like, "Oh, it's because you have a chip in his brain." But he can still be an asshole. Like he doesn't have to help you. He doesn't have to protect Dawn, and he does. And no one gives like no one in the Scooby gang, I think audience people, I think fans give him credit, but no one else is giving him credit. And it's also like was it what season did he come back again? Oh, I guess it was season 4 because it was when he got the chip in his brain. Um like he lived with Giles. They watched Passions together and he lived with Xander and then all of a sudden he confesses that he has a crush on Buffy and that he's in love with her and they're all like, "Whoa, you've crossed a line, dude." And they're like all hate him.
Yeah,
Except
I
for
mean,
Willow. I don't think Willow ever hates Spike.
yeah, Xander hates Spike because Xander hates everyone.
Yeah.
Um, I would agree that Willow never really hates Spike. She's unnerved by him,
Yeah.
but I get it's not just that he has a crush on Buffy.
Yeah.
It's the creepy obsession,
He does
which is
become
one of the. Sorry, go ahead.
he becomes obsessed with her, but like I think Spike has always been obsessed with Buffy because he was always before he realized he was in love with her was obsessed with the idea of killing us the other like a new Slayer.
Right, he's killed two
So there's
before. Uh,
always been an obsession, and then it's just been amplified because he loves her. Not to say that it's not weird.
yeah, well, this is the thing about the soulless characters is that I mean, Drusilla says that they can love, but they love in a very different way,
Mm-hmm.
and it's mostly that obsessive
Yeah.
thing they think is love. And I don't like I hate the ship so much.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy the storyline of Spike being in love with Buffy and the fact that his creepiness is always played as creepiness. It's never played as romantic,
No.
which I like because you can very easily move into Joker Harley Quinn schmaltzy
Mm-hmm.
my obsession and ownership of you is romantic, which it's really not. So I liked that it never moves into romance or it being considered romantic. Buffy only gives him a little when he does something actually worthy of reward or not reward because that's weird. Um, uh, Thanks basically like when she pretends to be the robot. Oh, we don't even get me started on the robot. And shows up and asks him whether or not he told Glory anything and why he didn't.
Yeah.
And he says, because I don't want anything to happen to Dawn, because if anything happens to Dawn, Buffy will kill me. It'll hurt her a lot, and I don't want that to happen. And so she kisses him. And she's not saying, I love you. She's saying thanks.
Yeah.
But, like, only when he earns affection does he ever get it this season. But there's I hate the ship. So many people love it. I hate it.
I don't know how I feel about it because I do enjoy the concept of Spike being in love with Buffy. I don't know if I enjoy the idea of Buffy being in love with Spike.
Yeah, which she's not. But
yeah, I don't think she ever could be.
We'll get more of this when we talk about season 6 because it complicates more. But I agree that I like what it does for Spike. I like the storyline of Spike being in love with Buffy because it complicates his character more.
Yeah, and what bugs me, and this is simply because I'm not a huge Angel fan, is that we give so much respect to Angel, but like he's fucking cursed. And like that's the only reason he's necessarily the way he is. But no one gives, and by when I mean no one, I mean everyone in the show, gives like Spike any respect. And Spike is trying so fucking hard.
Yeah, I have a lot of trouble with the way the Scoobies treat other people in general because I also feel like
they don't do it to Tara either.
What?
They don't give Tara respect either.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
It's that where members of the Scoobies really hate Spike for the sheer reason that he is a vampire and we hate him. Willow mostly just doesn't trust him. Same with Tara. Anya is probably fine with him.
But my thing is, he, in my opinion, has been more trustworthy than Angel.
He earned it, but at the same time, like you don't know when he's going to. He's in it for himself a lot of the time. Like yeah, he moves away from that this season, but certainly in the beginning, you don't really know what.
In the beginning, he was definitely only for Spike, but I mean, at this point, he's done more for this group of people than Angel has ever done.
Oh yeah, great.
Old Angel on this pedestal, like even during the funeral, and it's like the world has to stop because Angel's fucking there. And it was literally the most boring scene I've ever seen in my life. I was like, you are so boring.
And Angel is really boring on Buffy. I really, like I said before, I really like Angel the show. I've been rewatching season 1, and I enjoy it. I enjoy Angel on that show because they give him stuff to do that isn't Buffy.
Isn't being Buffy's boyfriend.
Yeah, so I do enjoy that show. Plus, I love Cordelia. But you know, you just mentioned that they also do the same. No one gives Tara any respect either, and I feel like no one would think twice about her except that she's Willow's girlfriend.
Yeah, and I mean, like Willow doesn't even really give Tara respect. Like, I mean, I know that the Willow and Tara relationship is a huge like fan love, but like Willow's not that great to Tara. And you're just kind of like,
yeah. I mean, it's early stages of TV lesbian romance. I was looking up a timeline of LGBT stuff on American television, and while it wasn't the first time that two women kissed on television, that happened in like the early 90s. This was the first time you got to see an actual loving relationship develop between two major characters on a TV show, same-sex major characters on a TV show. So I think they were doing as little as they could.
Yeah.
Because otherwise the network got squirrely. I mean, they did that with In the Body when they didn't want them to show the kiss. But by the same token, they don't really develop Tara outside of her relationship with Willow.
No, exactly.
Like the character. Because the like little she has to do, I identify with. But like none of the other characters, they have the whole episode family, which I love because Tara episode, dealing with her birthday where they're all like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, which was awful.
She's helping you save the world.
Over and over again. And like you can, even in the beginning of the season, like you can tell that she's uncomfortable. Like I believe she mentions it several times to Willow. She's like, oh, you're just relax, it's okay. And it's just, I just don't understand why outsiders of the Scooby Gang have to continue to prove themselves to these people, and they don't get anything. Like, there's a scene in, I think it's Forever, which is the episode following the death of Joyce, right? Yeah. Where Spike comes to Buffy's house, and at this point, it's Xander and Willow, and they're outside, and Xander, who gets a wee bit annoying again in this season, I'll have to admit, like, comes up to him and is like, how dare you try to come here and get Buffy to like you and bring her flowers and monopolize off her mother's death and blah, blah, blah. And Spike was coming because Spike generally liked Joyce and was bringing flowers for Joyce.
Which Willow points out.
Yeah. But it's just like, I don't know what gives you all the right to just be so judgy of anyone that happened to not meet Buffy on her first day of high school at Sunnydale.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So we're running kind of short on time, so let's get to our favorite and least favorite episodes. So favorite episodes. We have very differing opinions.
Favorite episodes. I mean, I liked pretty much all of this season. So I think there was like a couple. There was a block of 3 in the beginning and then a block of 3 at the end that were really strong. So the block of 3 in the beginning were kind of like No Place Like Home, Family, and Fool for Love, because it was a Spike like origin story. Then the block at the end, I know you didn't like it, but I did like Spiral and The Weight of the World and The Gift. I think for like arc, I think they all work really well together. And then just like the Body in Forever, and then Crush, which is when Drusilla comes back and Buffy realizes that Spike's in love with her.
Okay, also my favorites are, I do really like the last, I like the 3-parter finale. I would go so far as to push it out to 4 parts because I really, really like Tough Love. Tough Love is one of my favorite episodes. But you'll notice there's a pattern. If it's a really good Anya, Willow, or Tara episode, they're my favorites. So Tough Love is a really big Willow and Tara episode because it's the episode where she gets her brain sucked. And Family is one of my favorite episodes. You get to meet Tara's family. Horrible, 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 horrible family.
Who Amy Adams is a part of.
Amy Adams played her cousin before she became all famous and not Oscar nominated this year. And her just awful family. Anyway, so I really like that episode. It's also the culmination of this really slow burning storyline that they've been playing for several episodes throughout season 4 and 5. So I really like that one. I also really like Fool for Love, like you said, which is you get to find out how Spike killed 2 Slayers. It actually corresponds to an episode, an Angel origin story episode on Angel. So all that stuff that's happening in the Boxer Rebellion that you see, like where, not the Boxer Rebellion. Yeah, the Boxer Rebellion, and also when Spike, before he was Spike, when he was William, bumps into the 3 of them. You see it from his perspective. On Angel, you see it from theirs.
Okay.
So if you watch both the Angel episode and Fool for Love, you get the whole story. And it's really cool. I like the way they did that. Also probably saved on production costs. And Triangle is one of my favorite episodes of like this series.
Oh,
that's the episode that you didn't really like, the Anya and Willow hate each other episode. I like it because it's really funny. I think anyway, it's a really great Anya episode. That I just really enjoy. You find out that Anya dated a troll before he was a troll, and then he turned him into a troll, and that's how she got the job as a vengeance demon. And I liked them going at it and finally starting to like hash out their issues and become friends. So I really like that episode too. Least favorite episodes, I think we both agree on this one.
Yeah, so Into the Woods, which yet again, like, I kind of forgot Riley existed. Beginning of the season is kind of an asshole. Don't really like him. He doesn't know what to do with his life now that he doesn't have the initiative, so he tries to take Buffy's life pretty much. Um, he's in love with Buffy. Buffy thinks she's in love with him, but she really isn't. This is when Xander starts to get annoying again and gives her advice about the relationship. And I don't know, I just get like a vibe from Xander that he's like even though he's with Anya, he's still very much still in love with Buffy. Um, and I'm not a fan of the vibe. But anyway, Riley becomes a I don't even know what the fuck you call like is he a vampire prostitute? I'm very
He's basically a vampire heroin addict. Like, that was the correlation we were going with.
okay. So he goes to like a flop house and lets junky vampires just drink his blood because he needs to feel alive. And it's just so weird.
Very weird.
And then he ends up getting a job with the military and flying off in a helicopter. And that's it.
My problem, because I also have the same hate that episode. My problem with the episode isn't so much the Xander giving Buffy unsolicited advice, because he's an ass about it, but he is not wrong.
Yeah.
Necessarily, like, he's right.
But
Buffy's not as invested in the relationship. It's not that they don't have both. They're not both at fault, and certainly Riley is at fault for all of his weird vampire dealings. But Buffy is definitely not as invested in the relationship as he is, so she needs to deal with that reality. Like, does she actually love Riley? And if she does, she needs to open up to him and actually be in this relationship, or let him go and live his life and find somebody who does care about him. My problem with the episode is that she goes and tries to stop him.
Yeah, which is, I feel like, is completely. My problem with Xander's advice to her was that in a couple episodes prior, Riley turns to Xander and says something like, I'm really in love with her, but she's not in love with me, and I know it. So Xander has this information of how Riley feels. But then he doesn't go and like listen. Like he gives this whole speech of like, Riley's a really great guy. And pretty much like he's saying like, you're not going to find anyone else like Riley. So you pretty much should just try to fight for him. But like you figure it out for yourself if you want to.
Yeah, he lays a lot of guilt on her.
Yeah, he makes her feel very guilty, which is why I think she goes after Riley when she really shouldn't have at all. Like I wish it just ended with him in the helicopter. He looks out and Buffy isn't there. Because she didn't love him.
No, she didn't. He knew it.
No.
She knew it, honestly.
Yeah. So I'm very confused why she. Yeah. No, I'm just very confused why she ran after him.
I don't know. And I feel like this is the one big failing of the season. And not that it's a huge failing, because the season is great. But she also is hung up on him.
Yeah.
And I think it's much less about being hung up on Riley and being hung up on the idea of, I can't seem to make a relationship work, even though I've had 2 boyfriends.
Yeah, I mean, she's only had 2 boyfriends. One was a vampire.
And one was a weirdly experimented on military dude. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's like, it's not the biggest fail. I think it would have been more powerful if she didn't go after him.
I think the advice would have been different if it came from Willow than if it came from Xander, because it would have been this conversation. It would have been, you have to ask yourself, do you love him or not? Because if you love him, then, go and try to have the relationship. If you don't, that's okay. And the that's okay is the place that Xander never got.
Yeah. He guilted her into thinking that she did love, but like nothing led you to believe that she really loved him. So it just felt like her literally running after him came out of like left field for me. I'm just like, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And then for her to be so obsessed with him the several episodes following, it's just like, why?
Yeah, I mean, and then it's an intervention, which is another episode I don't love, though it is funny, which is the Buffy bot episode. She says, like, part of the reason that she's feeling weirdly disconnected is because she couldn't give Riley, like, what he needed. And I'm like, you need to find somebody who doesn't need that from you.
Yeah, that's not the point of a relationship, is to give them what they needed. That's not, and he should have just got a Buffy bot too.
Like, no one needs a Buffy bot. I love the Buffy bot, but the Buffy bot is creepy.
But then, like, a couple episodes later, Angel shows up to the funeral, and they're, like, making out under a tree, and it's like...
Because they're star-crossed.
I was like, oh my God.
They're really not. I hate them. I hate all of the relationships.
But since we have talked about the Buffy bot, another awful episode is...
I Was Made to Love You.
I Was Made to Love You.
I like that episode for reasons. I just think it's a good episode. It's creepy as shit.
Yeah. And, like, this is another thing where, like, I really love Spike, but this is, like, one thing where I'm just like,
wait,
why?
Are you talking about the Buffy bot episode or the original robot episode?
Well, at the end of the original episode, he goes to the kid that made the girlfriend bot and asks him bot.
Yes.
Which leads to the creation of Buffy bot.
Yes, the Buffy bot episode is Intervention. The original episode is I Was Made to Love You. I like I Was Made to Love You. Intervention just takes the creep factor to a whole new level.
But then, like,
I Was Made to Love You, again, was that it was never played as romantic. It was always played as, this dude is creepy.
Yeah.
Let's feel bad for the robot.
But then this is, like, another thing that doesn't make sense with the whole Spike storyline, is that you will jump down Spike's back for something so stupid, but yet we kind of just, like, glaze over the fact that he had a robot created that looks like Buffy. Like, they're just like, oh, that's creepy. And then they kind of just, like...
Yeah, well, Buffy does say that the robot was creepy and obscene.
Yeah.
So at least she yells at him about it.
I was like, I felt like you should be more angry. Like, I would be more angry if someone made a robot.
I definitely would be very angry. And I also like that whenever Xander makes a comment about it sort of being okay, everybody's like, dude, no.
Yeah.
Same thing with the original robot where he was like, who hasn't wanted a sex bot? And everybody, he looks around and he's like, I need more guy friends. And it's like, no, you just need to stop being a gross man.
Yeah.
So as we get to the end of the hour, are there any other things that you want to talk about with this season?
I'm sorry.
Are there any other things you want to talk about this season before we wrap up?
You like broke up a couple times. I couldn't hear what you said.
I said, can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are there any other things that you want to talk about before we wrap up?
Let me check my notes.
All right, check your notes.
No. I mean, my only thing is, like, I feel like Giles is getting a little bit whiny with, like, oh, Buffy doesn't need me, or does she need me? But, like, the back and forth. Like, he's getting a little emo about his job.
Well, in the same way, it was basically like a better handled Riley storyline. Like, am I useful anymore?
Yeah.
And I like that he buys the magic shop.
Yeah, like, I understand, like, what's my life outside being a watcher that doesn't, like, for a Slayer that doesn't really need and or use their watcher.
Because at that point, he wasn't a watcher.
No. But it's kind of like either you're going to stay and help or just get out and stop contacting them, because the flipping flopping is getting a bit annoying. And, like, his purpose.
Agreed. And we will touch more on that next season because there's more of that. So I think that about does it. Buffy Season 5. Thank you guys for watching Two Chicks, One Show, Buffy Season 5. If you have any thoughts about Season 5, leave them in the comments, either here or on the website. That's allgeektome.net. Try not to leave any spoilers about 6 or 7. Kate knows some stuff, but we don't want to spoil her too much. We still want...
I really don't know much that's happening now.
Okay, great. We want things to come as a surprise, and you know what things I'm talking about, Buffy fans. So leave your thoughts, comments about Season 5. What were your favorite and least favorite episodes? How do you feel about Riley? What about Spike and the Buffy bot? Let us know in the comments, and we look forward to reading them. You can also reach out to us on Twitter. At allgeek2me.net is the website. I'm at Trisha Ennis. She's at Kate Calabro. The hashtag is 2chicks1show with numbers, not letters. We will see you next time.